With Draymond Green being suspended indefinitely and potentially getting traded, Klay Thompson regressing significantly and sometimes being a non-factor on the court, and horrible management decisions like trading for Chris Paul and drafting James Wiseman second overall, people have started to ask the question, has the Warriors dynasty officially come to an end? In this video, we will be discussing everything that has led up to the Warriors' decline and if I believe they can fix those mistakes. Make sure to watch until the end to see if I think the Warriors can revive their dynasty. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's start off with the team as a whole. So far this season, they sit at a 13-14 record and are 11th in the Western Conference. Curry has been absolutely deadlifting this team, averaging around 28 points per game, which is 11 points more than the second closest player on the team, that being Klay Thompson with 17. Those two are the only players on this team averaging over 15 points a game. Most of the games the Warriors need to rely on Curry dropping at least 25 for them to even have a chance at winning. That is not something that should be happening to a group with playoff aspirations. With the team out of the way, let's move on to a few players who have been under the spotlight recently. Chris Paul has been extremely underwhelming for the Warriors so far, especially when you remember they traded their best young player in Jordan Poole for him. Paul was not brought in to be a scorer by any means, but averaging under 9 points a game while shooting under 40% is horrible. He has been getting the assists, I will give him that, but considering he was brought in to make this team better, so far this trade has looked horrible for the Warriors. The next player I want to talk about is Klay Thompson, who hasn't been horrible this season, but has definitely shown signs of regression. He is still averaging 17 points per game, but considering he normally averages over 20, this is most certainly a decline in offensive production. In the fourth quarter of games, I've seen Golden State need to rely on Curry way more than they should have, and that can easily be connected to Thompson's offensive decline. With both him and Paul, unfortunately age is catching up to them, and I'm not sure if there is anything they can do to stop it. And finally, we have Draymond Green, who has completely lost his mind. He has punched, kicked, and even choked out multiple different players this season. He is more focused on fighting people than playing basketball. His actions have gotten him suspended indefinitely, and it sounds like there is a good possibility of him getting traded. He is yet another player who needs to be at his A game to help the Warriors make the playoffs, and yet another player who has failed miserably to do so. Besides Curry, most players who were brought in this offseason and players who were here last season have been completely ineffective, which in turn has caused the Warriors to struggle tremendously. They either need those players to step up and provide for the team, or find new players who can. You simply can't expect them to make the playoffs if Curry is the only player playing up to expectations. It's simply unimaginable. Now, can they fix these mistakes? That's a really difficult question because you need to bank on older players who are already regressing to step up their game, which at this point seems unrealistic. If Draymond Green doesn't get traded, he needs to clean up his act and become a more reliable player. Chris Paul needs to shoot more efficiently, and Klay Thompson needs to score some clutch baskets in the final minutes of a game. As for the other players, Andrew Wiggins needs to return to a 17-point per game form from last year and provide Golden State with some much needed depth scoring. It's going to be difficult, but I feel if some of those things happen, I do see a world where the Warriors sneak into the playoffs. As for their dynasty, unfortunately for Warriors fans, I think their window is completely closed and the dynasty is over. There is simply no way all of their players can return back to their elite form, and they can find elite talent for those players to play with. Obviously, players like Curry and Klay will most likely finish their careers here, and I think the Warriors should try to compete for as long as they play. But ultimately, I don't see them being much of a threat for the foreseeable future, and their dynasty has officially come to an end. So that does it for this video. If you've made it this far and you like what you see, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I post weekly videos just like this one, so be sure to stay tuned for more videos to come. Make sure you leave a comment telling me if you think the Warriors will make the playoffs this year, and if you think their dynasty is still alive. I appreciate you all taking time out of your day to watch my videos, and I will see you all again very soon.